7 Instagram posts. Same words. Same moment. And within minutes, the internet exploded. If you've been anywhere near social media in the last 24 hours, you already know something huge just happened with BTS. But if you're just catching up, stick with me, because this story is way bigger than a single headline, and by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why Jimin, RM, Jin, Suga, J-Hope, V, and Jungkook made a decision that music insiders are calling one of the boldest moves in modern K-pop history. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because we're about to break down everything the mainstream outlets are only giving you in 2-sentence sound bites. So here's what actually happened. On Wednesday, all 7 members of BTS uploaded the exact same statement to their individual Instagram accounts. Not a joint statement from the label. Not a press release buried on a website. Each member individually, personally, posting the same message to millions of followers. Jimin posted it. Jungkook posted it. Jin, Suga, J-Hope, V, RM, every single one of them. And the message was simple but powerful. They said they had decided not to submit their music for consideration at the upcoming Grammy Awards. Translated, the statement read that they hope music can be heard and loved for what it is, rather than being divided by region or language. Read that again. Divided by region or language. That's not a throwaway line. That's the entire reason this is happening, and I want you to keep that phrase in your head because we're going to come back to it. Now, before you panic and think this means BTS is done with the Grammys forever, let's slow down and get the facts straight, because accuracy matters more than hype, and I promise you this channel gives you the real story, not just the loudest version of it. This is specifically about the 2027 Grammy Awards, the upcoming 69th ceremony. BTS is choosing not to submit music for that specific show. This is a boycott of this year's process, tied directly to one specific decision the Recording Academy made just over a month before this announcement. So what did the Recording Academy actually do? A little over a month ago, they confirmed that the 2027 Grammy ceremony would include a brand new category: Best Asian Pop Music Performance. On paper, that sounds like progress, right? A whole category dedicated to recognizing Asian pop artists on one of music's biggest stages. But here's where it gets complicated, and here's where you need to understand how Grammy rules actually work behind the scenes. According to the published rules ahead of the 69th ceremony, a song is only eligible in one performance category per year. 1. That means if a BTS song gets entered into this new Asian pop category, it cannot also compete in the bigger, more prestigious categories like Record of the Year, Song of the Year, or Best Pop Duo Group Performance. It's either or, not both. And that's exactly why so many fans, and honestly a lot of music critics too, are calling this a form of quiet exclusion dressed up as inclusion. Comment down below if you've seen this pattern before in other genres, because trust me, BTS and their fans are not the first to notice it. Let's talk about one fan reaction that's been going viral because it captures the frustration perfectly. A 27-year-old fan named Will Scragg told CNN he felt disappointed and a little confused when he heard about the new category, saying it feels like a way to keep BTS out of the main, more prestigious categories, and that it feels like a way to sideline Asian artists. And he's not alone in that read. But I want to be fair here too, because good journalism means showing both sides. Not every fan agrees with the boycott. A 22-year-old fan from Wales named Ellery Williams told CNN that she believes the Grammys actually need artists like BTS to remain relevant, suggesting that BTS stepping back might hurt the show more than it hurts the group. So even within the fandom, this is sparking real debate. Where do you land on this? Drop your take in the comments. I read every single one, and I want to know what you think. Now let's zoom out for a second, because this controversy didn't come out of nowhere. This is a pattern that has haunted the Grammys for decades, and if you know your music history, you already see where this is going. R&B and rap artists have complained about this exact same structure for years. The existence of genre-specific categories has long been used, critics say, as a way to technically honor black artists without ever letting them compete for, or win, the biggest overall awards. Instead of feeling like a celebration, these separate categories can end up feeling like a form of marginalization, a polite way of saying you're great, but you belong over here, not up there with the real contenders. And now, the same criticism is being pointed directly at how the Grammys have historically treated Asian pop artists, and BTS just became the biggest name to publicly push back against it. Make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to keep tracking how this story develops. And trust me, it's not over yet. And if you want proof that breaking into the biggest categories is actually possible for artists working outside the English language mainstream, look no further than what happened at the most recent ceremony. Bad Bunny made history there, becoming the first artist to win Album of the Year with a fully Spanish-language album. Think about what that actually means. For years, the assumption inside the industry was that non-English language music simply could not compete for the biggest prize of the night, that it belonged in its own separate lane, just like the argument being made about Asian pop right now. And then Bad Bunny walked in and won the single most prestigious award the Grammys hand out, with an album performed entirely outside of English. That same ceremony also saw Billie Eilish use her platform during her Song of the Year acceptance speech to speak out on a political issue, proving that this show has increasingly become a place where artists use their moment on stage to say something that matters beyond the trophy itself. So when BTS looks at what happened with Bad Bunny, the message is actually kind of complicated. On one hand, it proves the door isn't completely closed, that an artist working outside the English mainstream really can win the biggest award of the night. On the other hand, it also proves exactly why a separate, boxed-in Asian pop category feels like such a step backward. If Bad Bunny didn't need a genre-specific category to win Album of the Year, why would BTS need a Best Asian Pop Music Performance category just to prove they belong in that same conversation? The existence of one clear counterexample, one artist who broke through without being sorted into a smaller box first, makes the entire argument for that new category even harder to defend. Let's go even deeper into why this particular category is so loaded, because there's an angle to the story that most outlets are completely skipping over. At least one major entertainment outlet covering the new Best Asian Pop Music Performance category actually described it, before BTS's announcement, as essentially BTS's award to lose. Think about that phrase for a second. Not a category BTS might win. Not a category BTS is competing for. Their award to lose. That's how confident industry watchers already were that BTS would dominate this brand new category if they simply showed up and submitted their music. And instead, at the exact moment they were being handed what looked like a guaranteed win, they said no thanks. We're not interested in a guaranteed win if it means being boxed out of the categories that actually matter. And this isn't happening in a vacuum either. Asian pop artists have historically been shut out of the Grammys for years, going back to when the genre first started building serious commercial momentum outside of Asia. K-pop groups selling out stadiums and topping global charts simply weren't showing up in nominations at all, let alone winning, for a long stretch of time. It's only very recently that things even started to shift. At the most recent ceremony, Blackpink's Rose was nominated as a solo artist, right alongside BTS. That's genuinely historic. But even with that progress, the pattern critics keep pointing to is the same one we talked about a moment ago with R&B and rap. Recognition arrives, but it arrives sorted into its own separate lane, instead of standing shoulder to shoulder with the biggest categories of the night. So when BTS looked at a brand new category built almost specifically around them, a category insiders were already calling theirs to win, and still said no, that's not a group being ungrateful. That's a group refusing to accept a smaller, safer version of recognition when they've already proven, over and over again, that they belong in the biggest rooms in the industry. If you're starting to see why this decision hit ARMY so hard, let me know in the comments, because I guarantee there are people reading this who felt this exact frustration long before BTS ever said a word about it publicly. And here's the thing that makes this even more remarkable. BTS didn't need to make this stand quietly or carefully. They could have accepted the new category, taken what would likely have been their first ever Grammy win as performers, and let the headlines write themselves as a feel-good comeback story. Instead, all 7 of them chose the harder path, the one that trades an easy win for a bigger conversation about how the industry treats artists who don't fit neatly into a Western mainstream box. That's not a small decision. That's a group using their biggest platform, at their biggest moment, to say something that actually matters to them. Let's talk about the timing, because the timing here makes this decision even more painful and, honestly, even more powerful. This is happening during what might be the biggest comeback year of BTS's entire career. After completing their military service, the group returned this year with their new album ARIRANG, and it was not a quiet comeback. ARIRANG gave BTS another #1 album in America. Their comeback concert in Seoul, officially called the BTS Comeback Live ARIRANG, reportedly drew over 250,000 fans, setting the record for the largest public concert ever held in South Korea. 250,000 people. Let that number sink in for a second. This is not a group that's fading. This is a group at the absolute peak of their cultural power, walking away from the Grammys at the exact moment they had the strongest case yet to finally win one. And that's what makes this so significant. Before this boycott, industry analysts were actually predicting that 2027 could have been BTS's biggest Grammy year ever. With multiple singles and ARIRANG itself eligible, plus that new Asian pop category seemingly built for a group exactly like them, some experts believe BTS was genuinely close to finally winning their first Grammy as performers. I want to pause on that phrase, as performers, because it matters a lot here. Here's a fact that a lot of casual fans don't actually know, and it's important context for understanding why this moment feels so loaded. At the most recent Grammy ceremony, 2 songs made K-pop history. Apartment and Golden became the first songs by K-pop artists ever nominated for Song of the Year, with Apartment also making history in the incredibly competitive Record of the Year category. Golden, performed by the fictional group Hunter/X from the film K-pop Demon Hunters, actually won a Grammy, becoming the first K-pop recording ever to take home an award for Best Song Written for Visual Media. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. That award went to the songwriters, not to the performers who make up Hunter/X. Which means, even after that historic win, a K-pop musical act has still never won a Grammy as the actual named performer standing on that stage. Not BTS, not Blackpink's Rose, who was also nominated at that ceremony. Nobody. That title is still unclaimed. And now, BTS has decided they're not going to chase it this year on their terms. If this is the first time you're learning some of these details, drop a like right now, because this channel exists to give you the deep, accurate version of these stories, not just the headline everyone else is copy-pasting. Now let's talk about BTS's actual Grammy history, because understanding their past is essential to understanding why this decision feels less like a sudden reaction and more like the final straw after years of frustration. Go back to 2022. BTS delivered a Mission Impossible themed performance of Butter at the Grammys that got a standing ovation right after the group had battled COVID recoveries and even surgery in the lead-up to the show. Butter had dominated the charts for over 8 weeks. And still, the award slipped through their fingers. That was actually their second nomination at that point, because Dynamite had faced the exact same outcome the year before. The following year brought even more nominations, 4 yet to come, and for their collaboration with Coldplay My Universe. Same result. No win. And individually, the pattern continued too. Even Jungkook's solo hit 7, which was arguably the biggest song of that entire summer, could not break through either. Year after year, nomination after nomination, and the Grammy stayed just out of reach every single time. So when you hear that BTS is walking away this year, understand that this isn't a group throwing a tantrum over one new category. This is a group that has been nominated again and again, that has filled arenas and broken chart records again and again, and that has still never been allowed to stand on that stage as a winner. This year, they simply decided they were done playing a game that seemed designed to keep them one step below the top. And it's worth noting, just one cycle ago, several members were still individually chasing Grammy recognition on their own. Jin had entered his album Echo, along with the single Don't Say You Love Me, for Record of the Year and Song of the Year consideration. Echo reportedly debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, which is Jin's highest solo chart debut and one of the strongest opening weeks ever recorded by a K-pop solo artist, moving roughly 43,000 equivalent units in its first week and topping iTunes charts in over 80 countries. J-Hope had submitted Killin' It Girl and Mona Lisa. RM had reportedly entered Neva Play, his collaboration with Megan Thee Stallion. Real, serious campaigns, built on genuinely strong commercial and critical results. Which is exactly why this year's decision lands so differently. This isn't a group with no track record of chasing Grammy recognition individually. This is a group that has tried the traditional path before, and this time, chose to walk away from it entirely instead. Now let's bring this back to why so many fans specifically feel like this decision matters more this year than in any previous year. BTS is not sitting quietly at home during all of this. Just days before this announcement, on July 19th, BTS performed at the FIFA World Cup 2026 final halftime show at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, sharing that 11-minute halftime stage with Madonna, Shakira, and Justin Bieber, performing their global hit Dynamite in front of one of the largest live television audiences on the planet. And BTS isn't done there either. They're set to return to that very same MetLife Stadium on August 1st to kick off the US leg of their world tour. So this is a group that is everywhere right now, dominating global stages, breaking attendance records, and topping charts across multiple continents, all while simultaneously telling one of the most powerful institutions in the music industry, "We're not interested in playing your categorized game this year." If that doesn't tell you how confident this group is in their own cultural power right now, I don't know what will. Here's why this moment feels different from just another entertainment headline. This isn't a group complaining about losing an award they didn't get. This is a group being handed the closest thing to a guaranteed win they've ever had and choosing to reject the terms attached to it instead. That's an incredibly rare move in an industry where most artists chase recognition their entire careers and never turn down the chance when it's finally offered. And that's exactly why the story is resonating so far beyond just the K-pop fandom. Music journalists, culture writers, and fans of completely different genres are all weighing in, because this taps into a much bigger conversation about who gets to stand in the main spotlight and who gets quietly redirected to a side room. That's the real reason this story blew up as fast as it did. Let's talk about what the Recording Academy has said in response, because this part matters for accuracy. As of this moment, the Recording Academy has not issued a public response to BTS's announcement. No statement. No comment, nothing official yet. So if you see other videos or posts claiming to know exactly how the Academy feels about this, be skeptical, because right now we genuinely don't know. What we do know is what BTS themselves said directly, in their own words, posted by all 7 members simultaneously. And I think that direct, unified action speaks louder than any press release could anyway. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because the moment the Recording Academy responds, or the moment any BTS member speaks further about this decision, we will be covering it here first. So what does this all actually mean going forward? For BTS, this is a statement about identity, about refusing to let their music be sorted into a smaller box, no matter how much commercial and critical momentum they currently have. For the Grammys, this is a genuinely uncomfortable moment, because one of the biggest, most globally influential groups in the world just publicly called out the structure of their own awards process and did it during peak visibility, right in the middle of a World Cup halftime performance and a stadium world tour. And for the wider conversation about Asian representation in music, this might end up being remembered as a real turning point, the moment a major artist said no, loudly, instead of quietly accepting a smaller stage. Whether you think BTS made the right call or think they should have taken the opportunity while it was in front of them, one thing is undeniable. This wasn't a random reaction. This was 7 artists, individually choosing to post the same message at the peak of their career, walking away from an opportunity most artists would never dream of turning down because they believe the principle mattered more. That takes a level of confidence that very few artists in the entire industry actually have. I want to hear from you directly. Do you think this boycott will actually pressure the Grammys to change how they structure these categories in future years? Or do you think this ends up costing BTS a real shot at finally winning as performers? Type your honest opinion in the comments below. I read every single one, and I promise you, this conversation is far from over. If this video gave you the full, accurate picture of what's really going on, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who's still only seeing the surface level headlines about this story. We'll be back with more updates the moment this situation develops further. Until then, stay tuned, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one.